Hi friends, welcome to our English Learning Story series. If you're learning English and want to enjoy a good story at the same time, you're in the right place. This is chapter 1 of a warm and emotional story called At the Bus Stop. Each chapter uses simple English and is designed to help you practice while enjoying the journey. So grab a warm drink, relax, and let's begin. It was early morning in the small town of Maplewood. The sky was still a little pink from the sunrise, and the air was cool and fresh. On Main Street, the bus stop stood quietly next to the bakery, where the smell of warm bread made the morning feel soft and comforting. Every weekday, people from town came to this bus stop. Some were going to school, some to work. It was a simple place, but on this particular Monday, something special began. A girl named Lina sat on the bench, holding her backpack tightly. She was 12 years old, with dark curly hair and thoughtful eyes. Her shoes were a little too big-in-me-downs from her cousin, but she didn't mind. Today was her first day at a new school, and her stomach felt full of butterflies. Lina looked at her watch. The bus would come in 10 minutes. She took a deep breath and tried to think happy thoughts. Her family had just moved from a big city. Maplewood was quieter, smaller. She missed her old friends already. Suddenly, someone sat down next to her. A boy, about the same age. He had short blonde hair, round glasses, and a comic book in his hands. He didn't say anything at first, just turned a page with a smile. Lina peeked at the cover. "Is that Super Rabbit?" she asked shyly. The boy looked up, surprised. "Yeah. Do you like him too?" Lina smiled for the first time that morning. "I love Super Rabbit. He's smart and funny." The boy grinned. "I'm Max. What's your name?" "Lina. Nice to meet you," he said. "You're new here, right?" Lina nodded. "First day." Max closed his comic book and pointed to the bakery. "My mom works there. She gives me cookies when I wait for the bus. Want one?" He pulled out a small paper bag and offered it to her. Inside were 2 chocolate chip cookies. Lina's eyes lit up. "Thanks." As they ate, the bus came into view, blue and white, with the number 3 on the front. Lina felt a little braver now. Her hands didn't shake as much, and the butterflies in her stomach started to quiet down. The bus doors opened with a soft hiss. Max stood up and said, "Come on, I'll show you where to sit." Lina followed, stepping onto the bus with a smile. That morning, something simple happened. 2 kids met at a bus stop, but for Lina, it felt like the start of something big. The school building was large and old, with red bricks and white windows. As the bus stopped in front of Maplewood Middle School, Lina looked out the window and held her backpack tight again. Max stood up first. "Come on, I'll walk with you," he said, smiling. Lina nodded and followed him down the bus steps. Other kids ran ahead, laughing and calling to their friends. She felt small in the middle of the crowd, but having Max next to her helped. Inside the school, the hallways were loud and bright. Lockers lined the walls, and the sound of footsteps and voices filled the air. Everything felt new and a little scary. Max pointed to a classroom door. "That's Mrs. Carter's class. We're in the same homeroom." Lina was glad. At least she knew one person. The bell rang long and sharp. Max walked in first, and Lina followed. The room was full of desks, bookshelves, and colorful posters. One poster said, "Be kind, be curious, be brave." Mrs. Carter, a woman with short gray hair and kind eyes, looked up from her desk. "Good morning, everyone," she said. "Before we begin, we have a new student today. Lina, would you like to introduce yourself?" Lina's heart jumped. She didn't like talking in front of people, especially people she didn't know. But she stood up slowly. "Hi, I'm Lina," she said, her voice quiet. "I just moved here." Mrs. Carter smiled. "Welcome, Lina. We're glad you're here. You can sit next to Max." Lina sat down and let out a breath. She had done it, her first big step. As the day went on, she listened carefully, even when the math was confusing and the science words were new. Max helped her find her locker and showed her where to get lunch. She was starting to feel less alone. At lunch, Lina sat with Max and 2 other kids, Emma, a girl with long black braids and a fast way of talking, and Ty, a quiet boy who loved drawing. Emma asked, "Where did you move from?" Lina said, "The city." It was loud and busy. Emma nodded. "Maplewood's quiet, but you'll like it. We have the best autumns." Ty slid his drawing across the table. It was a sketch of a tree with orange leaves and kids sitting underneath. "This is what the park looks like in October." Lina smiled. "It's beautiful." After school, they all waited at the bus stop together. The wind was picking up, and a few yellow leaves danced across the sidewalk. Lina looked up at the sky. It was blue and open, not like the tall buildings she used to see. Max asked, "So, how was your first day?" Lina thought for a moment. "Better than I expected." They all laughed. As the bus pulled up, Lina felt something warm grow inside her. Maybe this new place wasn't so scary after all. Maybe it was the start of something good. The air was cooler on Tuesday morning. Fall was coming fast, and the wind played with the leaves as they spun and danced on the sidewalk. Lina arrived early at the bus stop. She liked the quiet before the day began. Max wasn't there yet, so she sat alone on the bench, watching the bakery windows glow with warm yellow light. The smell of cinnamon and fresh bread wrapped around her like a soft blanket. She took out her notebook and started to draw a tree, like the one in Ty's sketch. As she drew, something on the ground caught her eye, a piece of paper, just under the bench. It was folded neatly, and the edges were a little dirty from the wind. Lina picked it up and turned it over. Her name wasn't on it, but curiosity pulled at her. She opened it carefully. Inside was a short letter, written in neat, careful handwriting. "Dear Mom, I miss you. I hope you're doing okay. I still ride the bus every day and sit near the window like you used to. Max and I still read comics. I wish you could see how big I'm getting. Love you always." Lina's heart squeezed. It wasn't her letter, but it felt private, like something very personal. She looked around, but the street was still empty. Just then, Max arrived, running and out of breath. "Sorry, I slept in," he said, laughing. Lina stood up and held the letter out. "This was under the bench. Is it yours?" Max stopped smiling. His face changed. He took the letter gently, eyes wide. "Yeah, thanks. I didn't read it," Lina said quickly, though it wasn't true. She felt bad now. Max looked at her and nodded slowly. "It's okay. It's for my mom. She passed away last year." Lina's mouth opened slightly. "I'm so sorry." Max looked down. "I write letters to her sometimes. It helps me feel close to her." The bus rumbled around the corner. Lina didn't know what to say, but she knew how it felt to miss someone. She gently touched Max's arm. "She would be proud of you," she said softly. Max looked up and gave a small, grateful smile. "Thanks, Lina." On the bus, they sat quietly. Lina didn't talk much that day, but something had changed. She felt closer to Max, like a secret had been shared, and now their friendship was deeper. At lunch, Max didn't bring his comic book. Instead, he asked Lina about the city and what she missed most. She told him about her favorite bookstore and the sound of the subway at night. After school, the bus stop felt different. The sky was cloudy, and the wind picked up again. Max turned to Lina before the bus came. "Thanks for being kind," he said. Lina smiled. "Thanks for trusting me." As the bus pulled up, they both stepped on side by side. And in that small moment, something quiet and strong was building between them: trust, understanding, and a friendship that was just beginning. Wednesday morning was bright and full of golden light. The leaves in Maplewood had started to turn red, orange, and yellow. It looked like the trees were wearing warm sweaters. Lina and Max waited at the bus stop with Emma and Ty. As usual, Max brought cookies from the bakery. This time, he gave everyone one. "These have cinnamon and apple," he said. "Try it." Lina bit into hers and closed her eyes. "Tastes like fall." At school, Mrs. Carter gave the class a new assignment. "This week," she said, "you will work in groups. Each group will create something that shows what community means to you. It can be a poster, a short play, a song, or anything you like. You'll share it on Friday. Emma's eyes sparkled. Let's do a poster, she said to Lina, Max, and Ty. We can draw people at the bus stop, at school, at the bakery. Ty nodded. I'll draw, Lina added. We can write short stories about the people in the pictures, Max said. And I'll bring quotes from my comic books. Some of them are really inspiring. After school, they stayed on the bench at the bus stop, sketching ideas. Ty pulled out his notebook and started drawing the bakery, the bench, and even the bus. Lina wrote about a boy who shared cookies and a girl who missed the city but found a friend. Max searched through his comic for the right quote. Emma looked at them all and said, I love this. It feels real, like we're showing what matters. On Thursday, they put everything together. The poster was big and colorful. It showed a town full of small moments, people, helping each other, smiling, sharing stories. Max glued a quote in the center. A hero is someone who helps, even when no one is watching. Friday morning arrived. Each group presented their project in front of the class. Some sang songs, others acted out skits. When it was their turn, Lina stood up first. We made a poster about our town, she said, holding it up. About how little things like waiting for the bus together can make people feel less alone. I showed the drawings. Emma explained the scenes. Max read the quote aloud. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Mrs. Carter clapped. Beautiful, she said. This is what community looks like. After class, many students came to look at their poster. One girl said, I wait at the same bus stop, but I never talk to anyone. Maybe I will now. That afternoon, as they walked to the stop, the sky was gray, but peaceful. They sat on the bench, quiet and proud. A breeze blew past, carrying a small red leaf that landed on Max's comic book. Lina picked it up and held it like a tiny treasure. Maybe we can collect leaves tomorrow, she said. Make a scrapbook. Max smiled. Yeah, and write little stories about them. Ty added, like a bus stop journal. Emma grinned. Let's do it. As the bus arrived, Lina looked around at her friends. A few weeks ago, she had felt so alone. Now, she had a group, a voice, and something that felt like home. Friday night brought wind. Saturday brought rain. And by Sunday, the little town of Maplewood was soaked. Gray clouds hung low in the sky, and the trees shook in the wind. On Monday morning, the rain hadn't stopped. Lina stood by the window, holding her umbrella and watching the puddles grow. I hope the bus comes today, she said to her mom. Her mom nodded. Be careful, sweetie. Roads might be slippery. Lina zipped up her jacket and stepped outside. The sky was dark, and her umbrella bent in the wind. She walked quickly to the bus stop, jumping over puddles. Her socks were soon wet. When she reached the bench, Max was already there, soaked even with his raincoat on. He grinned when he saw her. This is wild, he shouted over the wind. Totally, Lina laughed. Where's everyone else? Emma and Ty arrived a few minutes later, dripping but smiling. Ty had no umbrella, so his hair stuck to his forehead. This feels like an adventure, Emma said. A very wet one. They all huddled under Lina and Max's umbrellas, close together on the narrow bench. The bakery's warm glow was gone. The shop was closed today. There were no cookies, no warm smells, just wind, rain, and cold. Suddenly, they heard a cry. A small sound, almost lost in the wind. Did you hear that? Lina asked. Everyone went quiet. There it was, again soft, scared. A meow. Emma pointed to the bushes near the bakery wall. There. They ran over and found a small kitten, wet and shivering under the leaves. Its fur was gray and white, and it looked frightened. Ty knelt down. Hey, little one. The kitten looked up with wide, scared eyes. We can't just leave it, Lina said. It's freezing. Max took off his scarf and gently wrapped the kitten in it. We'll take it to school. Maybe someone there can help. They ran back to the bus stop just as the bus pulled up. The driver opened the door and raised an eyebrow at the kitten in Max's arms. We found her in the rain, Lina explained quickly. We're taking her somewhere safe. The driver nodded. Get in then. Don't let her get too wet. On the bus, The four friends sat close together. The kitten, wrapped in Max's scarf, fell asleep in Lina's lap. At school, the nurse gave them a dry towel and called the local animal shelter. "They'll come soon," she said. "You all did a very kind thing." The rest of the day passed quickly. Everyone talked about the kitten rescue. Even kids who had never spoken to Lina or Max came to hear the story. After school, back at the bus stop, the rain had finally stopped. The clouds began to move, and a tiny bit of sunlight peeked through. "I think we should name her," Emma said. "Stormy," said Ty, "because she was brave in the storm." Everyone agreed. As they climbed onto the bus, Lina looked back at the bench. A few leaves were stuck to the wet wood, and the sky above it was beginning to clear. She smiled. Sometimes, the hardest days show the strongest hearts. It was the last Friday of October. The sky was clear, and the air was crisp. Leaves covered the sidewalks like golden blankets. The trees, once full and red, now stood half bare, waving in the wind. Lina wore her favorite scarf and carried a notebook under her arm. At the bus stop, Max, Emma, and Ty were already there, sipping warm drinks and laughing. "Hey," Max waved. "We saved you a seat on the bench." Lina smiled and joined them. "Guess what?" Emma said. "Stormy got adopted yesterday. The shelter found her a home with 2 kids and a garden." Ty showed a picture on his phone. "Look, she looks so happy." Lina leaned in. Stormy sat in a sunny window, purring. "That's perfect," she said. The bus arrived late, so they had time to talk. Lina opened her notebook. "I wrote something," she said shyly, "about all of us, and this place." "Read it," Max said. Lina took a breath and began. "At the bus stop, we waited for more than just a ride. We waited for mornings that felt too long, for new faces, warm cookies, and stories in the rain. We found friendship on a wooden bench. We shared secrets, drawings, and dreams. We learned that kindness is quiet, but strong. That courage doesn't shout, it shows up. And that even on stormy days, someone will be there. This is where we grew, together." When she finished, no one spoke for a second. Then Ty said, "That's beautiful." Emma wiped her eyes. "I love it." Max bumped her shoulder. "You should be a writer, Lina." Lina laughed, her cheeks warm. "Maybe I will be." The bus pulled up. They all stood, backpacks ready. As they climbed aboard, Lina looked back at the bus stop one last time. The bench, the bakery window, the leaves, it had all become part of her story. And it wasn't the end, just a new beginning. YouTube-style closing message. "Hi friends. Thank you so much for joining us on At the Bus Stop, a story about friendship, kindness, and finding your voice in a new place. We hope Lina's journey helped you grow your English and your heart at the same time. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click the bell so you won't miss any future stories. Learning English is a journey, and we're so proud to walk with you. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and remember, even small steps lead to big changes. See you in the next story. Bye for now.